Hello everybody, my name is Joey. I'm part of the Chart Guys team. I've been a full-time trader and technical analyst for 7 years, over 20,000 hours. I have been gone for the last week. Everybody got a little treat of Dan filling in. Hope you all enjoyed that, but you're back, stuck with me. Went out west, nice and rejuvenating break, and I'm ready to be back at the charts. We've got some updates here on Bitcoin. The weekly lower high, which was the most likely scenario unless we saw increasing bull volume, has now been set. And now we got to ask ourselves, what are we looking at moving forward? What will keep this consolidation healthy? What will shift odds? Where can we get clues in the space? What alts are we looking at? And all of that jazz. So let's go ahead, get on into the charts, take a look at Bitcoin, and then we'll just expand out from there. So here we've got our weekly chart. We knew a weekly lower high compared to 72K was the most likely scenario unless we saw continued increasing bull volume. We had 1 week of increasing bull volume and then a week of decreasing bull volume, and here we have our lower high set. So now the big question is, are bulls going to be able to confirm a weekly uptrend to more confidently have us holding the monthly 12 EMA, get a monthly higher low set? And as long as the monthly 12 EMA is support, then this is a monthly bull flag. So Bitcoin looking great up here, but that's not the case for many alts, and that is an important thing for us to keep an eye on because very often the alts lead the way in the space. We'll always be open to a change in the way all of these coins relate to each other, and an example of that would be if Bitcoin truly were to take over a huge portion of the crypto market cap and we were to see Bitcoin dominance work its way up to like 75% plus, then maybe we wouldn't be getting such valuable clues from the alts. But as things stand now, we're going to continue to use these clues from alts to kind of shift odds within the space. So looking at Bitcoin, we've got our weekly consolidation underway, but we don't have a daily downtrend yet. So that's going to be the next big piece of information that we get is, do bears confirm a daily downtrend from here and further make it more difficult for bulls to confirm a weekly uptrend? It's going to be a battle of time frames. So as we're evaluating what are the odds that bears can confirm a daily downtrend, we are going to be watching bounce retracement size. So we'll go ahead and just pretend that the bounce is starting from here. There's no sign of that yet, but we'll pull our fib, look at the 0.5 retrace, and say, does a daily bounce top out below the 0.5 retrace, keep odds favorable for bears to get a downtrend? Or do we get a bounce above the 0.5 retrace and increase the odds that bulls can confirm an uptrend and set a healthy and quick weekly higher low? So that's going to be the next thing we're watching for here. And as far as, okay, now how do we get a daily bounce underway? It's going to be, this is just the fractal nature that we're constantly churning between time frames always. So it's the 4-hour downtrend that we're watching here. Lower highs, lower lows, 4-hour 12 EMA resistance. Bulls need to get up and over 4-hour 12 EMA resistance, confirm a 4-hour uptrend, and that'll be our daily bounce. That's when we look at retracement size to determine who's going to get the next daily trend, because as things stand now, we have no daily trend. We have a broken daily uptrend. Breaking the daily uptrend does not equal confirming a downtrend. Those are two different degrees of confidence that we glean from that info. So another thing to kind of keep eyes on here is you can certainly make an argument if bulls bounce from here that this is a bit of a megaphone. We'll just kind of slop some lines on there. Could be something like that if bulls show up here now. So got a few different scenarios to be looking out for, a few different things to be watching as we gauge health, and we'll just take it day by day. And again, we know Bitcoin is healthy, but that is not the case for some other alts. And if we look around at some of these other alts, I can show you what we'll be watching to kind of shift odds for the space as a whole. Like, let's look at FET. It's very close to breaking two new lows. And if you remember, we'll go back to the 2-week chart. Our watch list here, which you can get on our website if you go to the crypto corner, it's updated. We had holding 2-week support crew and our 2-week downtrend crew. And in the beginning, most everyone was up holding 2-week support. And then one by one, they got knocked off. And then now we only have Sol left holding 2-week support, and everybody else has gone down. So if we look at names like FET, very close to new lows. If FET hits new lows, that increases the odds that others will follow. Who else we have? We have DOT, very close to new lows. FTM, very close to new lows. Now, that being said, we have plenty of names still holding on strong. It's going to be a battle. Do we see our strong names join our weak names, or do we see our weak names end up joining our strong names? Do we see an inversion between the two? Those are pretty much the three scenarios that you get when you're evaluating this variance between coins. So to look at a stronger coin, Sol, just now getting weekly consolidation underway, tons of room for a weekly higher low. That's certainly a strong coin, and we've known this for a while now. I think a lot of it is the ETF hype around Sol. I mean, it was very short-lived hype when it came, but we know to be anticipating news and updates on Sol in terms of an ETF, and that is helping keep it strong up at the highs. So Sol, one of our strong names, and to talk about a different strong name here, let me finish Sol, then we'll move on. So Sol, we're going to be looking for a weekly higher low compared to 121, and it's going to be the same thing as Bitcoin in terms of what does the next daily trend do? Do we get a daily downtrend to see weekly consolidation follow through, or can bulls bounce big enough to try to regain the weekly uptrend and have a daily uptrend to try to get a quick weekly higher low set? That's the next thing we'll be watching on many coins that have this look where we're coming straight off the top. Now, that being said, there are other coins that are already in daily downtrends. Who's some of our daily? I mean, we'll just click through and find some. Think AVAX, yeah, already in a daily downtrend. Weekly lower high set. I guess it's only being set this week as well, but we're in a daily downtrend. So that gives us a differing degree of confidence between the weekly consolidation we have in Bitcoin and the weekly consolidation we have on AVAX. Bears are more comfortable in a name like AVAX, where you have your smaller nested time frame with its trend change along the way. So let's see, what's Link doing? Link is in a daily downtrend, coming down to these lows. So you've got your alts that have daily downtrends. You've got your alts that have only lost the daily uptrend. And then you have a handful of alts kind of doing their own thing, or maybe a handful is a little hasty. Let's look at AIOZ. So remember, AIOZ, as we were tracking this daily falling wedge, it was much weaker than peers here. And this is kind of the flip that I'm talking about. That's always a possibility, where you have a name that has been weak, and it's already kind of, how I like to verbalize it is it's kind of paid what it owed already. It was weak when others were strong, and now it is strong when others are weak. So that's part of the beauty of the crypto space, is if you want to be a more conservative bull, you can be looking at a name that is showing strength. And if you want to play bullish, you play bullish on a name that has relative strength. And if you want to be an aggressive bear, you can say, all right, I'm going to look for these strong names to be a laggard bear, looking at Sol, looking at AIOZ. So there's always something for everybody in the crypto space. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. But at this point, AIOZ is trying to get that monthly higher low set off the 12 EMA, which is why we were watching that falling wedge. If that's going to happen, bulls need to get through 68.96, and we have a daily uptrend as our guide for this weekly move. And if we're going to have confidence in a monthly higher low being set, we're going to need a weekly uptrend eventually. So that's similar to Bitcoin in that regard, that we need the weekly uptrend still. So kind of popping around a little bit. Hope you're all hanging on with me. Let's roll it back. Go look at ETH, because ETH is nearing daily support, about to join the crew of the daily downtrend. So we had come straight off the top, saw a strong bounce. It was looking like, okay, bulls have enough room here to try to regain a daily uptrend, try to get a healthy weekly higher low set, and obviously that all changed here today. If we lose this level we're testing here now at 30.86, then that'd be a daily downtrend confirmed, more confidence for bears in weekly consolidation, and more difficulty for bulls in confirming a weekly uptrend to get a monthly higher low more confidently set. If we look at this chart, it's been a while since we've had a weekly uptrend. We had one back in here, and once we confirm this downtrend in April, we've seen nice moves, but no weekly uptrends. So that's what we're looking for if Sol is going to hold monthly, I'm still trying to get my gears turning in my brain after being off for 5 days. And I actually did take the time off. I usually don't do that, but needed a good break. But if ETH holds monthly 12 EMA, then bulls are in full control. If we lose monthly 12 EMA, no one's going to want to hear it, but we got to be watching out. Let me turn off log for the potential that we tighten up here on the 6-month chart for a long time. We could tighten up like this, and that's into 2028, staying within this range. That is definitely a possibility, and everybody needs to make sure you have a game plan for that if it's going to happen. It's a huge range, so for active traders that go both ways, there will be plenty of opportunity. But what I like to do when I identify a potential larger time frame scenario, I say, all right, what would be the signal that that is happening on a smaller time frame? And for this, simply, I'm just using the monthly 12 EMA. If monthly 12 EMA is support, then no 6-month lower high is shaping up. If we lose monthly 12 EMA, that's the first sign towards a 6-month lower high, and we need to adjust accordingly. So for ETH, what do bulls need to do to continue to hold monthly 12 EMA? They're going to need to regain a daily uptrend. So here we are down at support. Whether we break it or not, it really doesn't matter a ton in terms of the monthly context. Step one of saying, all right, well, we're continuing to hold the monthly 12 EMA. It's going to be regaining a daily uptrend. Regaining a daily uptrend. And wherever that happens from, then we'll look at our retracement size and we'll say, what are the odds of us confirming a weekly uptrend or versus staying range bound on the weekly. So as always, we'll just go one step at a time, looking at the 4-hour downtrend guide, very similar to Bitcoin. Anything below 32.05 going to be a lower high. And we know with ETH, there was hopes and dreams of ETH BTC getting its poop in a group, getting the first weekly uptrend in ages, getting over monthly 12 EMA for the first time in ages, and that's not happening. That is not happening. So we have monthly lower high set off the 12 EMA. We have a weekly downtrend, and next time bulls get a bounce on the weekly, anything below 56.30 going to be a weekly lower high. If bulls are going to get a bounce on the weekly, they need to regain a daily uptrend. So bulls have space for a daily higher low here on ETH BTC compared to 47.30, and we'll see if they can confirm that uptrend. If they confirm that uptrend, that's great. ETH is going to have relative strength, but we can't get bamboozled when a weekly lower high forms, as that is the most likely scenario. And bigger picture for ETH, until we get over monthly 12 EMA on ETH BTC, it's going to be relatively weak compared to Bitcoin. So what else do we have in here? Let's go back to Link for a second, check in on that 2-week falling wedge that we're watching. So looking for a quarterly higher low, 2-week falling wedge. It's no different from AIOZ looking for a monthly higher low and having that daily falling wedge. It's the same fractal nature, and you'll find that that fractal nature, that's the game. That's the game. We see it. I don't even really know what more to say to it. That is where we get our edge from with this style of trading. So whether it's a 2-week falling wedge or weekly falling wedge for a quarterly higher low, or a monthly falling wedge for a yearly higher low, or a 15-minute falling wedge for a 4-hour higher low, it's the same thing. If you cover up the time frame at the top, you can't determine if this is a 15-minute time frame or a yearly time frame. And that's the beauty of it. You learn the nature of how time frames interact, and then you deploy it on all these different time frames working together. So we'll continue to watch Link. If we were to get a lower low below 11.05 without follow through, that would keep the falling wedge alive. And for me, I think that'd be the easier entry versus trying to pin a weekly higher low and hope for the weekly trend change and work our way out of here. And obviously, this is all dependent on Bitcoin remaining strong. If Bitcoin holds monthly 12 EMA, then a pattern like this on Link remains viable. If Bitcoin loses monthly 12 EMA, then we've got to look at Link and say, all right, maybe bears are going to follow through and see this 6-month tightening range continue to tighten on up. And if you look at this, and we go back and we look at Ethereum, it's decently similar with the 6-month setup. Link's 6-month lower high is already set. Ethereum's is not. Is it going to follow, or is Link going to be a quarterly bull flag? Time will tell. Those are two scenarios that we are watching. Let's go look at XRP. It's been a lead bull for a while. Daily 12 EMA support. We've now lost it. Weekly consolidation's underway. Bigger picture, we're still just kind of range bound. I know it's been a really nice move for XRP. Bulls have a lot of room for a weekly higher low. We'll see if they can do it. And like Bitcoin, the next question is going to be, Do bears confirm a daily downtrend, see deeper weekly consolidation follow through? Are bulls able to bounce big enough to regain a daily uptrend and get a quick weekly high or low set? 4-hour downtrend going to be the intermediate guide for the daily pullback, and that is that. Watching ZEC as well. It's still holding on well at the highs here, still holding daily 12 EMA, but this is one of those things where an aggressive bear is looking for something like ZEC to be a laggard. So if we look at the monthly, we've got a lot of tops up in here. We have pushed over monthly 12 EMA, which is a point in favor for bulls, but aggressive bears are going to be looking for it to be a laggard. And if it's going to be a laggard, step 1 is losing daily 12 EMA. Step 2 will be confirming a daily downtrend. And what you'll want to see is ZEC BTC get a monthly lower high set. It's been a turd for ages. We've got a monthly bounce, so it's been a superstar for a month, but we can see what we've got going on here. It can be a superstar for a little bit, but it's been short-lived on this thing for a long time. So with that, I think there's ammo to be looking on ZEC as a laggard bear. What else we got in terms of weak names? Another one to add to the list of watching to see if it goes to lower lows. Gala near its recent lows. What are we looking at? Jasmine, we're looking to see if we can get a monthly higher low set. So bouncing from the 12 EMA, we had a solid weekly bounce, and like Bitcoin, can bulls confirm a weekly uptrend to get a monthly higher low set? They got room to work with, and we will see what they can do. At this point, we don't have a daily trend, so it's also going to be similar to Bitcoin in that regard. Do bears confirm a daily downtrend, or do bulls reconfirm a daily uptrend? That's going to be the next piece of info there. Let's see, Bonk. I'm starting to pay a little bit closer attention to Bonk as we continue to tighten up. Looking at this weekly or 2-week equilibrium. High, low, lower high, higher low, lower high. Anything over these dang numbers, man. 18, 14, 46 would be a 2-week higher low. And when this breaks, volatility will increase on Bonk. It's certainly a volatile name, so even within it, that's an 86% bounce. There's plenty of opportunity. But as we continue to tighten, there will be less opportunity, and we've got to make sure we adjust our trading with that. And then once this breaks, we'll look for a decent bit of follow through. We've been tightening up now for nearing 6 months. So daily downtrend guide for the 2-week pullback, 4-hour downtrend guide for the daily pullback, same framework as everybody else. So what else we got? We got KUJI getting absolutely smoked today. It's basically working from the playbook that CRV had recently, where the team's leverage positions have been liquidated. So quite the fall from graces. It was a lead bull for a while up here, and then ended up getting the head and shoulders, and you certainly cannot anticipate follow through like this. That being said, bulls never proved anything on the way up. Let's go to the weekly. So it's just weekly bear flag after weekly bear flag after weekly bear flag. And the reason I talk about the weekly is because of the monthly, the higher low compared to this low down here at 51.90 was very much so the most likely scenario. And it can be tough when you get the less likely scenario, but this is why having checks and balances within our trading can be very helpful. And we can know, all right, a monthly higher low is the most likely scenario, but what would it require to get a monthly higher low set? It would require a weekly uptrend. If we're going to get a weekly uptrend, what would that require? It would require a weekly bounce big enough to create room for a higher low and get that trend change. So kind of having this systemic approach of how we evaluate what's going on in the charts, it can help us, 1, get out of our own minds, and 2, keep from getting bamboozled. So closer to all-time lows than bulls would like to see, obviously, negative 40% day. But typically these things offer opportunity both ways. Bears certainly going to be looking for daily lower highs. You know, when your founding team or whatever gets liquidated, no, typically not a good thing. Typically not a good thing. But that being said, if we were to bounce up to daily 12 EMA from here, you know, give it a couple days even for the daily 12 EMA to come down, you're talking 80% bounce. So when events like this happen, there's opportunity for experienced traders to make some nice gains. If we're going to get a legitimate bounce underway, got to start with an hourly uptrend. Decent hourly bounce, and bulls would have to do something like that. They're trying to get an hourly higher low set here. Resistance is going to be 68 cents. And in a situation like this, it's a little tough because you're looking for an hourly higher low. Well, your support's 15% away. How can you set up a play a little more conservatively? You could do something like take an hourly inside bar bull break for the hourly higher low and put your stop below that and say, all right, this is either going to be an hourly higher low that leads to a trend change to try to get a 4-hour bounce underway, or I'm wrong and I stop out. You can take half when you get to your 1-to-1, then you got a risk-free ticket to the show to see if we can do the same thing on the 4-hour, where we'd need to see 4-hour bounce and a 4-hour trend change, and then that would get a daily bounce underway. And then if you're looking for this to be like Matic, I think it was, when back in the day when Matic really died, had some FUD. Where was it? I think it was this. What are we looking at? Yeah, no, that's the COVID dump. I thought Matic. No, this is what I'm looking for on Matic. Ultimately COVID ended up derailing that, but I don't remember what was going on with Matic, but 80% down from the top, 67% down. If you're looking for like a macro type bottom and on some high volume FUD into a nice bounce, you're going to need the daily trend to begin to shift. So it's definitely hopeful looking at KUJI for something like that, but you never know, and nobody's ever going to know. You just got to throw your hat in the ring and see what can happen. But CRV just did the same thing and, gave a really nice bounce. We're back down near the lows, but their founders got liquidated, 67% bounce. Pretty nice stuff. So that's what I'm looking at. Let's check back in on Bitcoin, do a little smaller time frame analysis. So decent 15-minute bounce. Decent 15-minute bounce. Bulls need to regain a 15-minute uptrend. If they want to see hourly bounce follow through, need to regain an hourly uptrend if we're trying to get a 4-hour bounce underway with confidence. So that is that. Let's take a little bit of a zoom out outside of the crypto space and look at the broad markets, because we've got something that I think is decently tangible information here. So we know weekly consolidation underway in NQ. We lost the weekly uptrend. We've got room for a weekly lower high. And then yesterday was the biggest day of 2024 on the NASDAQ. Plenty of room for a daily higher low, try to get the daily trend change, get the weekly bounce underway, and giving it all back. For me, this is a red flag, bigger picture. If bulls were all that and a bag of chips, then they would not be given back this whole move. And it's been very impulsive down. Very impulsive down. So we've all got to loosen our minds up to the potential that the bull show that's been going on for a couple years ends. It will end at some point, and we have a very nice edge to help determine when it may end. I'm going to pull over a graphic here, and this is a chart of what happens after the Fed pivots. And you can use your eyes and see what we've got going on. Negative 35%, negative 58%, 51, 27, 48, 36. If that happens, I know Bitcoin maxis want Bitcoin to be the reserve currency and the safe haven and continue to do its own thing, but I think it will be hard-pressed to do that. I think it will be hard-pressed to do that. I'm totally open to that being the case. The trends will guide the way regardless. But at this point, the Fed has a projected cut in September, and the odds of it are 87%. So we'll either get the first time in 60 years that a Fed pivot doesn't lead to a legitimate bear market, or we'll get the same thing that we've gotten for the last 60 years. So if that happens, everybody has to have a game plan. What are you going to do with your crypto positions? Are you going to hedge? Are you going to sell and rebuy lower? What's going to make you sell? You got to figure all this stuff out ahead of time. But this is a pretty red flag kind of day for me on the NASDAQ. It can all change tomorrow. So that's why we take things day to day, but it's just shifting probabilities as we move along. And then when you compare the 2021, 2022 top in the broad market, I'm looking at the small cap, the Russells, right, or the Russell right now. We tightened on up while everything else ripped, and then we finally broke out, and then that was the top of the market at end of 2021. That's when growth A lot of growth topped out, and the broad markets topped out in January, and then we saw, a year of downside. Well, this is not wildly different. We had tightening range while everything else ripped, and then RTY ripped, and now it's a bull break, no follow through, about to enter weekly consolidation. Is this dash to trash, or is this just weekly consolidation looking for a higher low within a weekly uptrend? Time will tell. We'll look at volume, we'll look at retracement size, we'll look at rotation. But we're not seeing rotation today. Everything's coming down. That's money leaving the market. And we'll learn a lot more, I would say, next week in terms of what does this retracement size look like. And the reason I'm talking about the broad market here is because you can bet your bottom dollar that to some degree it's going to affect crypto. To some degree. Like, people are not going to, I guess I can't speak in certainties, but people are likely not going to want to be buying dog with coin USDT if they're not even willing to buy Apple or Amazon or NVDA. So got to have a game plan, and that is just that. That is just that. But Bitcoin in a bubble, it's looking fine. It's looking fine. Bitcoin dominance, 2-week 12 EMA, just going to continue to be our guide. As long as that's the case, Bitcoin is the place to be, bigger picture. And that's that. That's what I'm looking at here. So let's hop into chat, see what y'all are looking at. What's up, Omar? I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. It was nice to have some time off, and it feels good to be back. Let's see. Let's look at coin. That is another thing. We'll check out our miners. So coin, not a great look here. You had a weekly uptrend, bull break, no follow through, and now we're right back down at weekly support. It is still just a balance area. So as is the case with balance areas, bulls are playing long off the lows, bears are playing short off the highs. It works until it doesn't. So as far as our daily, we got a daily downtrend. We got earnings after hours here today. That may determine, do we break bear out of this? And if coin breaks bear out of this, that's like a little mark towards the bears in the space in general. It's something we got to keep an eye on. CLSK down at the base of its tightening range. It's an opportunity for a bottom fish for bulls. Every bull who's bought in the 14 and 15 area since February has done well, has had nice moves to the upside, opportunity to de-risk, all that jazz. Are we going to get another one, or are we finally going to break out of this thing? Time will tell. Looking at Mara, giving a ton back off of the top. And something we need to consider, let me clear this chart up a little bit, is Mara going to be a 6-month tightening range? If it were to happen, bears would have to take out 14-18, still a little bit away, but very, very possible. We've got to keep our minds open to all of this stuff. And I'm not saying don't buy any dips. Certainly not saying don't buy any dips. If we look at the S&P 500, is anything broken on this chart throughout 2024? No, we're testing weekly 12 EMA. If bulls show up, then the show goes on. But if we lose weekly 12 EMA, we'll do the same thing that we did back in April and ask ourselves, which is the same thing we're doing on the Bitcoin daily right now. Can bears confirm a weekly downtrend to more firmly gather control? If we lose weekly 12 EMA, we'll be watching the same thing again. If we hold it, the show goes on. So fortune favors the brave and the bold in the markets, and you don't even have to be that brave to try to buy the dip. You have to have your risk managed. You don't want to just infinity scale into this stuff. You don't even need to nail the bottom. But, is there a reality here where SPY holds a triple bottom and then goes back up and is at new all-time highs in September? Yeah, absolutely. Is there a reality where you say, okay, that's a daily uptrend confirmed, no follow-through, right back down to support, and this ends up marking the top for a 2-year bear market? Yeah, absolutely. No one knows. Anything can happen. All we can do is manage our risk, try to get some risk out of the equation, and then put ourselves in the position to benefit should what we're looking for end up happening. What up, Gravity Train? What up, what up? Good afternoon, Gitta. Hello, Ryan with the bear glasses. 10-year yield is falling. Yeah, I don't really watch the 10-year a whole ton, the bonds. I mean, I watch TLT because I'm looking for a swing position there. which, if I'm not mistaken, let's see what TLT is doing. Yeah, we're having a nice day here, trying to get over monthly 12 EMA for the first time in ages, and historically, once you get up and over that, after bear cross monthly EMAs, you get some solid moves. Very solid move on that. Very solid move on that. Very solid move on that. So that's what I'm looking for here. And with that, that would be the US 10-year giving it up. Maybe confirming a monthly downtrend and having this bull market that we've had here since the 2020 lows shifting. So definitely something to keep an eye on. Always clues to be seen everywhere. What's up, Step 2? Thank you for the welcome. Feels good to be back. Let's see. Walucard. Historically, seems coin earnings doesn't matter. They have earnings today after hours. What's your thoughts on that? You know, I don't have a ton of thoughts on that other than typically earnings are a gamble. You can kind of get an edge on earnings if you're either going like parabolic into earnings or absolutely waterfalling into earnings. Essentially what that is it's earnings getting priced in. If you're totally waterfalling into earnings, that's like people anticipating bad earnings, and they have to be like really, really bad to get another leg down. If they're not just disgusting earnings, then likely you get a bounce. Even if they are bad, it's like, okay, well, that was priced in. Who's left to sell? Is this the kind of waterfall where I feel you get an edge on it? I don't think so. Not for me personally. So we'll have to see. I'd say it's a 50-50 coin flip because I don't put time into fundamental analysis in terms of balance sheets and, you know, cash on hand and all this and that. It's essentially to have an edge on earnings, you need to put in close to the time that, you know, a bunch of technical analysts put into learning charts. You need to put that into the fundamental side of things, and I don't do that. So not gonna have much to say in that regard. So let's see, we got Fortnite Chills says 100K, here we come. Yeah, I mean, definitely could be, man. You look at the monthly chart, and not even just the monthly chart. Let's go to BLX. Look at the full history of Bitcoin on the log scale. And do I have my line here? Yeah. So as long as we're holding this arch or whatever you want to call it, we're in a like macro bull market on Bitcoin. For me, we've obviously seen deep pullbacks, 80% plus in Bitcoin, but it's holding its macro trend. So I'd say that we haven't even ever really had a true bear market. I think we need to lose this to have a true bear market. So when you zoom on out, get rid of that line there, you know, what would it take to get to 100K on this chart? Doink. You know, very little. In a historical sense, it's nothing. It's peanuts. So could it happen? Absolutely. But you know what else can happen is a pull back down to this arch and, you know, crack 30K to the downside, take 50% off the top and still be fine from a macro sense. And what else can happen is, you know, extend that across. We can lose that and come down and be back into the four figures before 2027. It's all possible. No one knows. Everyone's going to have plans, or how do I want to say it? There will always be people that are telling you that they know where we're going to go, and 100K is incoming, and a million's incoming, or 3K is incoming. Nobody knows. I'll give you the tip. Nobody knows. The best traders that I know that they don't know, and that's part of the power. That's part of the power. And you know, we're really fortunate at TCG to truly have some of the best traders in the world. You know, before FTX died, we had multiple people on the top 100 FTX P&L leaderboard, and all of those dudes know that they don't know, and they're in the top 100 in the world on, at the time, the biggest crypto exchange in the world, over 11 million accounts and in the top 100. So if you think you know, you might not. You might not, and that might be something worth considering. Let's see. Jack Off says, let it all puke. 30 or so or more days until the timeline that every other halvening took to get going. Yeah, we'll see. We will see. And a note on that, there will be a time, as I've been saying, you know, before all-time highs topped and this, that, and the other thing, there will be a happening where the normal playbook doesn't play out. The financial markets are not here to be your friend and make things easy, and it would be too easy for big money not to yoink everybody on a change of the status quo. So it's good to know the historical trends and this and that to have us look forward to a certain potential, but ultimately price needs to confirm any thesis. You can have all these, theses and whatnot, but price has to confirm it. And if we're going to take off in 30 days, then, we'll have a weekly uptrend confirm and all that jazz. All that jazz. Let's see, the OG Itchy. Appreciate you too, man. Yeah, YouTube needs to work on a lot of stuff. Notifications, the spam in the videos. I've not had the heart in me to go weed through the comments on the videos because it's like 98 comments spamming some shitcoin and then 5 comments or 3 comments of people saying nice video. So sorry for not getting in there, but ain't nobody got time for that. All right. I talked about SPY a little bit, Matt. I'm going to be doing the end of day market video for the chart guys today, so I'll talk about it a lot more in depth there. Let's see, Max wondering, how do I normally play a daily 12 EMA rider stock? Do you wait for it to touch the 12 EMA to build some starter position? Yeah, I'll wait for us to get down to the daily 12 EMA, and then based on how aggressive I want to be, I might take the first 5-minute trend change after a daily 12 EMA test, might take an hourly stair step after the daily 12 EMA test. If I'm feeling really aggro, I might be taking like 1-minute stair steps after we get down into that zone. Like once I identify a zone of interest, once we're down there, I'll accept that if I'm trying to get a daily high or low off the 1-minute time frame, it's very unlikely that the first attempt is going to do it, but I'm very confident in my ability to get risk-free on a 1-minute time frame. And I might crack off 5 or 6 shots where the first 5 stop out, or maybe 4 stop out break even, 1 ends up being a loss, and then the 6th one is the one that ends up sticking for the daily 12 EMA. So you got to ask yourself, what are your strengths, and how aggressive do you want to be? Because you might say, well, why would you want to do that on the 1-minute time frame? Because I can get a lot more size on. So I like doing that because I'm at the computer anyways, and small time frame navigation is a strength of mine. But another thing you can do, like if we go back and look at ZEC for a good daily 12 EMA rider, that's actually not. Let's go, it kind of is, but we'll look at XRP. That was a little bit better. You kind of just identify an area of interest, and if you want to be more hands-off, what I will do is I'll enter like a little bit above the 12 EMA, and then I'll put a stop like halfway between the 12 and 26, and that'll kind of be like, well, if we're going to continue to ride, then we should hold that halfway point. So as always, many different ways to try to do something like that. And the most important thing is that our technique resonates with our strengths and weaknesses and our like goals and intentions on the trade and what we've got going on in our life. I don't like to necessarily just do the scales and put the stop in because I'm typically at the computer. If I'm not going to be at the computer, I will modify my execution technique to fit what I have going on in my life at that point. Let's see. Matt says, my broker says it will code my account as a pattern day trader if I make another day trade this week. What implications could that have? If you don't have over 25K in your account, they will restrict you to only closing your positions for 90 days. So you definitely don't want to take that additional day trade if you don't have 25K in your account. If you do have 25K, then you are chilling and everything is fine. Something to be aware of is that they just changed the rules. It used to take 2 days for cash trades to settle, but they just changed it. So it's just 1 day. So now in a cash account, if you can trade your whole stack, and then the next day that money is settled to be able to trade the whole stack again, which is current. That's how options have been for a while. But now common shares are like that. But you have to be in a cash account. So if you're under 25K and you want to day trade, turn off margin on your account. You won't be able to leverage. You won't be able to short. But what you can do is say you've got 10K. You can say, all right, I'm going to take 3 trades a day. I'm going to do 3.3K position sizes for each trade. And you take one, manage that however you need to. If it stops out, whatever, you got 2 more bullets, and you basically have 3 bullets on the day. And then the next day you get your bullets back. So it makes it a lot simpler for smaller accounts to be able to day trade. All right, we got a request. Carrot USD, Karrat USD on Coinbase. So this is a weekling. We're down at all-time lows. Bulls got to show up here soon if they're going to hold it. I like the weekly time frame, just kind of viewing this as like an EQ, even though slight lower low, no follow through. But it's just all about all-time low support of 44.20. If bulls can hold that, then bears do have room for a weekly lower high compared to 81.22. And daily 12 EMA rider to the downside, daily downtrend. And we probably got like 8-hour 12 EMA before that. No, we'll just go with 4-hour. So got to get over 4-hour 12 EMA to look up at daily 12 EMA. Got to get over daily 12 EMA to shape up a weekly higher low. Walu card, it just means you're like a day trader on the books, the pattern day trade thing. Honestly, it's a bogus rule. I view it as like trying to, it's supposed to protect traders, but I think it's to try to keep day trading as like an elitist activity. I think it's absolutely bogus. I mean, the US doesn't want people to be able to just sit at a computer in their pajamas and click buttons and make money. The machine wouldn't turn if everybody got into that. Obviously, it's very difficult, and it's not like everybody would be successful, but there's just all these things along the way to try to make it more and more difficult for anybody to live the dream doing this stuff. All right, quick check back in on Bitcoin, see how that 15-minute is looking. So, all right, bull's going to need to form a 15-minute higher low and get that uptrend if they want to see hourly bounce follow through. And then again, 4-hour downtrend, and we'll look at what does the next daily trend do. That's going to be the big thing. So we'll be keeping up to date on this, posting on Twitter, this and that, and obviously within the Chart Guys community. Thank you all for tuning in, spending some of your afternoon with me. If you haven't hit the like button, please hit the like button. It helps the algos. And if you want to battle the spam bots, I wouldn't mind that. I'll try to get in the comments on the YouTube video here today. If you want to leave a comment of what's your game plan if we get a 6-month lower high on Ethereum and the whole crypto space goes into a bear market for 2 years, come up with your game plan, drop it in the comments, and we'll see how everybody's positioning and planning to play it. So have a great day. I will see you I'll see you in the broad market video in a couple hours. Adios. Thanks for tuning in.